Here we go.
You really think you have a chance against us, Mr. Cowboy?
Hey, motherfucker, what do you like to do?
Oh, I don't know. Play chess. Screw.
Well, let's play chess.
They give off to Jonathan Taylor. Jump cutting his way close to the goal line. He's in there. Touchdown. I-N-D-Y. Jonathan Taylor.
Wheeler finds Quan from the logo.
Here's Halliburton into the front court. Mishandled it, but gets a shot. Hits it. Hits it.
John, I have never been better to be on the air with you here in Indianapolis, a place where so many of my dreams have come true.
The Ride with JMV on 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
I got a busy show for you. Hopefully you guys are all along until 6 o'clock. We've got stuff to do. Got information to give, things to talk up, things to be critical about, things to celebrate. It's the normal Wednesday show here in studio. Thank you all for joining us. I'll remind you about the bullseye tickets and the package for Miami if IU wins that has officially gone on sale today, and that's going to be me and hopefully all of you. Hopefully IU fans will be able to do it, considering what needs to take place with that in mind coming up on Friday. Yeah, we're getting closer and closer to Oregon and IU. And that particular matchup, we brought up yesterday how Oregon's going to be missing, a significant piece in that backfield, a piece that actually had rushed for 15 touchdowns this season. And it's a rematch. And when I bring people on, for example, Boomer Esiason is going to join us coming up in just a little bit. We're going to talk about the Colts' direction. Daniel Jones, we had Boomer on a number of times over the course of the regular season. And if you remember, he was very outspoken about his belief in finally getting to see Daniel Jones take shape and to have a great season. Now, that great season for Daniel Jones went about 2 months, and then we know what happened after that. But the direction in which this organization is going, from the Boomer Esiason perspective, is coming up here when he joins us. I think a little bit later on this hour, in fact, Boomer is going to be here. I was kind of just jokingly mentioning, because we brought this up yesterday on the show, the conversation that's been had nationally about Curt Cignetti and Fernando Mendoza going to the same place, coach and quarterback and all that. That is nothing but, and I know that we live in a world where you can never say never, but that is really nothing more than just fodder. That's basically it. Just radio, sports talk radio fodder. But it is funny because it does gain a little bit of reaction, and rightly so, from IU fans. So we shall discuss. I'm sure I'll ask him about that. I'm not going to go into full-scale discussion on it, but we'll ask him about that coming up here a little bit later on as well. Kevin Bowen from the Fan Morning Show is going to be here. Obviously, Chris Ballard with the media coming up at 11 o'clock tomorrow. We shall go over that. I have no idea. Much like what Carly Ursay-Gordon said on Monday, after we learned on Sunday evening that it was going to be, quote-unquote, running it back, there's really nothing that he can say. Really nothing that he can say that anybody around is going to go, oh, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. It's funny. I think that there are a couple out there, but I have yet to hear. And maybe I should lean toward this particular angle. I've been yet to hear anybody that says, yeah, you know what? I think this is a good idea. I can understand it. Even if you do, in theory, kind of go, well, the coach and the quarterback that you're wanting to bring back had 2 months worth of success. Even if you understand that dynamic at work, I have not encountered anybody that goes, yeah, you know what? I think this is a really good idea. Yeah, the fans should be on board. This is a great idea. So just when you get the owner presser, the CEO on Monday, followed up yesterday by the letter to the fans, So now you're going to let this breathe a little bit, and then coming up at 11 o'clock tomorrow, Chris Ballard's going to meet with the media. I have no idea what this dude can possibly say. And certainly what he can possibly say that you haven't heard. Even ownership at this point. You know, they always say, all you got to do is own it and everybody's going to be satisfied. It does not matter, owning it or not, nobody is going to be satisfied. And as I've mentioned before, this is not one of those situations where, well, you can't let the fans decide. But in this case, I think it would be logical if you want to let the fans' opinions infiltrate your thought process because you haven't been right about a damn thing. Nothing. And I don't care about the 2 months, the September and October. That was great and everybody celebrated it, but it ended in the same result or lack thereof. So what can possibly be said coming up at 11 tomorrow? I've get 3 hours to document exactly what that is going to be. Should be thrilling, should it not? Here's the other angle. Most popular angle I get outside of what I just discussed with the Colts is because what's going down with the Colts and everybody, no satisfaction, being critical, being upset, being angry in certain circumstances. And then you have the Pacers that set a franchise mark last night with their 13th consecutive loss and is the worst team going in the NBA right now. Actually led that game last night against the Cavaliers by 9 going into the fourth quarter. It is, and I know why this is, and you do too, because you got the past 2 years to lean on with the Pacers in mind, and especially what was a magical run into the postseason in Game 7 of the NBA Finals. But even if you do view this as a gap year, which everybody does, and it's almost it's like a free pass. What was that film, Hall Pass? That I think that every dudes get a Hall Pass, right? You're getting a Hall Pass. It's like a free pass that they get this year. I still can't completely be on board with being satisfied. And I'm not suggesting at all that any Pacer player or front office or coaching staff, I mean, Rick Carlisle's been sitting on a number since early December. So there's no satisfaction there because when you work at it and they continue to work at it, when you do not see a result that is positive, that's very off-putting. And every time I think about that, I think about a guy like Pascal Siakam, who is going at it as hard as ever and, in fact, having a really good season. And it's really all for naught. Because either you have decided not to take this season seriously, if you're a Pacer fan, or you have detached yourself completely from this season. I do have a belief, and I had a belief in this group before the start, and obviously, injury-wise, this roster was incredibly compromised, and I get that. But to be as bad as they have been, to lose 13 straight, looking at 14, what coming up tomorrow night in Charlotte, and before you say, well, it's Charlotte, I mean, you could get that back now. You know, Charlotte did by, I think, 20-plus beat OKC the other night, Monday night. And this doesn't look like that it has an opportunity to end anytime soon. But it's, again, a free pass, and it's okay. And I'm not suggesting that anybody's wrong when you state that, because I'm right there with you. I mean, this thing probably does on the fly. You take a gap year like this, and everybody kind of points to San Antonio for past reference, and you end up being able to restock in a fashion in which you are never going to. That's the hope. Get a little bit younger in the process. What do the nerds say? Getting guys closer to their timeline. Hell, I don't know. There's just a significant part of me that looks at this and goes, man, losing sucks. And even with this grand vision at the very end, seriously, you are like Andy Dufresne a little bit. You are going through 500 yards of crap before you get out clean on the other side. At least that's what you hope. When you're going through that crap, it's tough, especially if you're competitive and you want to see your team, the team that you're watching, investing your time in, win games. And last night was an incredible bummer. You know, even if it won't end up meaning anything, and if it does mean something, it is what you're going to end up getting at the tail end of this. And hopefully for the Pacers, it's a 1 or a 2 moving forward. And the NBA doesn't screw them over. Hopefully that's the case, because this is a tough watch. Last night was a tough watch. It's one thing when you get blown out, but it's one thing when you lead for a majority of the game and then you lose it down the stretch in that fashion. Both teams had a couple of 5-second calls, and I know in Chris Denari, the professional, the award-winning professional that he is, you know, the power went out, so he had to call it from his phone once again. And believe me, those of us around here kind of understand trying to cobble something together on the fly when something technically is not working the way that it should with our transition. So a shout out to Chris and everybody last night for certainly dealing with that aspect of it. But it's a bummer still, because losing's a bummer. No fun in that. And you can take it the Pacer way, where there is a light at the end of that particular losing tunnel, or you can take it in terms of mediocrity, where there's no end in sight if you're a Colts fan. And with that, you got a couple of things to lean on here moving forward, and one is coming up on Friday night with Oregon and IU Part 2 down in Atlanta in the Peach Bowl. We're going to look-see coming up tomorrow night at the Fiesta Bowl, Miami and Ole Miss. It's funny. I think Friday night, and I'm assuming a lot of you would agree with me on this, is going to be a much tougher game than, for example, you get matched up with the winner of the Fiesta Bowl in Miami for a national title. I know that sounds silly, and I know, I'm already talking about Bullseye and everybody, being involved on this particular trip, and, hey, you know what, that's bad karma. Well, people also have to get their plans figured out. And that's a must. But this Atlanta matchup in the Peach Bowl on Friday, because you get Oregon and you get around to a game that you won in Eugene going back to October, I would take that as a much tougher, even with Oregon missing an essential piece offensively in the backfield, I would take that as much more of a significant challenge than looking at Ole Miss and Miami. I'm not suggesting either one of those teams would be an easy mark in the least. Not even with Miami, for example. If they win, you're going to play that in your backyard. I just look at it in terms of team and Oregon. And I don't know if – I know people say if you've already beaten a team, it's tough to beat them back-to-back times. I'm sure that somebody has numbers run that suggest that. But I just think that if IU does what they do, and if you remember that Oregon matchup going all the way back to October, early October, was kind of IU, if you will, re-announcing their authority. It was showing everybody that it's just more than a team that can win on a schedule where a lot of people had been critical about the contents of that. Whether you believe anything about Old Dominion or Kennesaw State, or what you thought about Illinois, being in Bloomington and being rolled over as the Illini were. There was a lot going into that October meeting with Oregon, and that was a huge test that was passed. And further, when you look around at the 4 teams remaining, and on New Year's Day, we sat and we watched. If you look around and you watch the way Oregon played against Texas Tech was a mess, a disaster. They supposedly had this great offense, and these guys couldn't get out of their own way. When you look at Ole Miss, I thought Ole Miss looked better than Miami. Miami and Texas A&M kind of knocked around a great deal early on. We watched that. If you remember, I mean, there's a lot of non-believers, certainly in Miami, that Miami still moves on to match up against Ole Miss. I thought Ole Miss, if you were going to look at the four, Ole Miss was right behind IU in impressions that they gave in those games of advancement to the semifinals, if that makes any sense to you. But IU and what they did to Alabama was overall the most impressive. No matter what you thought about the Alabama team, what IU did to them in embarrassing them was by far the most impressive. IU Oregon, 7:30 coming up on Friday. The Peach Bowl in Atlanta. The Fiesta Bowl coming up tomorrow features Miami and Ole Miss. Yeah, I'm not taking anything away from the Hurricanes and their march so far. Don't get me wrong. And I thought Ole Miss was, very impressive against Georgia, and certainly their offense and their quarterback. But the one thing that you look at, I think, with all these teams, that was a common theme that remained outside of IU is there were a lot of penalties and a lot of mistakes and turnovers. And what you have witnessed out of IU in that one game of the Rose Bowl against Alabama was as clean a game. It was like a perfect game for IU fans. It wasn't perfect, don't get me wrong, but it was a perfect game to watch because they played it so clean. Now, we'll talk about that. Danny Cadell is going to join us coming up in the 5 o'clock hour. We'll talk to Boomer Esiason about that and a lot more coming up in just a second, and Kevin Bowen in the 4 o'clock hour as well. We've got collegiate hoop tonight. You got Purdue in action. You got IU in action. Old Big Ten Network double dip right there, if you will, of matchups. We'll get into that a little bit later on, too. Butler had a game that they needed, and they weren't close, frankly, last night against St. John's. That was not good, and not good whatsoever. We'll get into that college aspect of it as well, and I'm assuming back to the Colts conversation at 239-1070. Email address is jmv@1075thefan.com. We've got the text line, which is wide open right now. That is 239-317-239-1070. If you guys would like to lob in some lines of text in which I can read, we can go back and forth on that. That'd be fantastic. I mentioned coming up on Friday. Friday, we're going to be at Clayton's Country Bar downtown. We got a pre-Peach Bowl viewing party for you. And then, hell, we might as well just stick around and watch it there, too. Might as well do it. That's Clayton's Country Bar on Friday. I need some outstanding folks to RSVP so we can have a significant hang coming up on Friday. Because I'm ready to do a little party stuff. Hopefully you are too. Speaking of which, bullseyeeventgroup.com. Log on if you want to. If you're believing in IU and you want to go ahead and get out in front of it, they've got a package for South Florida for the championship game that you will want to be a part of. Bullseyeeventgroup.com. I'll explain the dynamics to you coming up in a bit, but make no mistake about this. You will want to be a part of it. Bullseyeeventgroup.com, and those packages went on sale today. And let's just say, for example, IU doesn't make it, fully refundable. So, as I like to say, what the hell, might as well. Yeah, no doubt about that, Rick. Butler with 20 turnovers. Last night felt like Butler, they just introduced themselves to one another before they started playing before the game. Zero cohesion, so many mistakes. Even my man Gutshot Greg, who arguably is the biggest dog fan around here, I think is a little bit fed up. You had back-to-back games with Nova and with the Johnnies that were essential, and the dogs at home at Hinkle were not close. And in large part did a great deal of stuff to themselves in the process. All right, 239-1070. Text line 317-239-1070 as well. We'll get to you. We've got Danny Cannell talking college football and the semifinals coming up at the 5 o'clock hour. Kevin Bowen of the Fan Morning Show joins us. Chris Ballard meets with the media at 11 o'clock tomorrow. Is there a damn thing he can say that will change any of your minds? Or are you just going to be more incited by whatever dialogue happens tomorrow at 11 o'clock from now going into his 10th year in his general managerial position with the Colts, Chris Ballard? Kevin Bowen coming up at the 4 o'clock hour, but on the other side, Boomer Esiason, WFAN in New York, CBS Sports Network, the NFL, the Colts, and college football with our friend Boomer Esiason. BullseyeEventGroup.com. Check out the package, see what you think. Can we all go party in South Florida, provided IU wins coming up on Friday night? Check it out right now. BullseyeEventGroup.com. Meantime, Boomer Esiason on the other side. Do not go anywhere. It's 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan. Let me give you a tremendous idea with LD Smith Plumbing and Drains. Yeah, drains clogged, problematic in and around your foundation of your home. Hey, don't let that be an issue. Get something done right now with the best in plumbing. That's Lance. It is a local team at LD Smith Plumbing at 317-927-7186. Why? Because they're the best. Why? Because you want the best in your home, in or around it, to make sure you have no issues. And especially this time of year, whether you've already had major freezes and meltings, clogged drains, problematic. The solution, Lance and his local team at LD Smith Plumbing. In fact, any plumbing needs you need, that solution, LD Smith Plumbing and Drains. 317-927-7186 online. That's ldsmithplumbing.com today.
The Ride with JMV.
I got nowhere else to go.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Great ideas for you to hang out. Kevin Bowen, Fan Money Show, top of the hour. Ballard with the media tomorrow at 11. Danny Cannell, college football, IU, Oregon, Ole Miss, Miami, Thursday and Friday. Clayton's Country Bar downtown with us on Friday. You got to be there. Danny Cannell joins us after 5, but on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline, you know him as the former NFL quarterback from WFAN in New York and CBS Sports Network. We love having him on. It is Boomer Esiason who joins us now. Boomer, thank you for the time. How are you?
I'm doing well, John. Happy New Year to you and all your listeners out there. Sorry, the Indianapolis Colts did not finish the season strong, but I got to tell you, watching Philip Rivers play, I enjoyed every single minute of it.
I am curious, did you agree with the overall assessment and now the path forward that Carly Ursay-Gordon is taking now and bringing back both Chris Ballard for year number 10 and Shane Steichen for year number 4, which speaks to her and their believability in the product that they have?
Well, I know Chris Ballard for quite some time. Frank Reich was there under him for 4 or 5 years, and they developed a really close relationship. And one of the hardest days, I think, of Chris's GM life anyway, was having to let Frank go. And, Frank always told me that Chris knows what he's doing. He's a really great general manager. We worked well together, but it's the owner's prerogative to make the decision as to whether or not these people hold on to their jobs. And I'm glad that Carly Ursay-Gordon didn't go crazy here and just didn't snap and make a snap judgment. The fact that she spent time on the sideline, the fact that she spent time in the building, and she really immersed herself in the team, I think is one of the reasons why you don't make snap decisions and you don't fire people, because you do think that they're really good at their job. And I mean, I could look at a couple of games this season, even when Daniel Jones was healthy, where this thing started to go a little bit south because they lost a couple really, really tight games, one to the Steelers and one to the Houston Texans. And then the moment that Daniel was lost for the rest of the season, it kind of took the air out of what they had been building. And I think, from her perspective, she saw the potential, and she also knows, as we all do, I think all the fans in this league know, it's a quarterback-driven league. And if you got somebody back there that's doing their job and creating plays and doing what Daniel Jones was doing when he was playing and he was healthy, that's what ultimately wins and gets you into the playoffs. So it's unfortunate that he got hurt again, and basically the team was lost from that point on.
They have, Boomer, a level of expectation that Daniel Jones is coming back. They want to bring him back. At least that's their inspiration right here. And then his whole healing process will be expedited to the point to where they expect him back, and they haven't put this in concrete yet, but their expectation sooner rather than later to start the season. It just seems like, especially Boomer around here dealing with Tyrese Halliburton and that slow roll to getting back and missing the entirety of the season, that seems like a very generous timetable, I think, from a Colts angle. Would you agree with that particular injury?
Yeah, of course. I mean, but we have seen players like, Aaron Rodgers come back from these things, so it's better than it used to be. Let's put it that way. And they're a little bit more aggressive with the surgeries now, and they're also a little bit more aggressive with the rehab. And I think it comes back faster than it used to be the case. But I just, I feel so bad for Daniel, as I told you when it happened. And he was in the midst of his best season by far as a professional quarterback. And one of the reasons I think that they want to bring him back is, he's a high character guy, and you can't have enough of those guys on your team, especially a team leader like he was. So I take a look at their season, and I say it was basically derailed because of that injury. And hopefully he can come back, because it seems like the players really, really liked him.
Yeah, it's a Boomer Esiason from WFAN in New York, CBS Sports Network as well. The former NFL quarterback's kind enough to join us on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. A hot topic around here, too, Boomer, is Alec Pierce and his free agency. And to me, the must bring back by whatever means necessary. What is his market view / value, you think, around the NFL landscape, just by what he's accomplished at that position in the past 2 seasons?
Well, he is the first player to lead the NFL in yards per reception in back-to-back seasons. And I wouldn't say that the quarterback position has been all that stable around him, and you can tell that he's a player. He makes plays. He's probably one of the most underrated wide receivers in the league, but he'll get paid. There's no question. There is a market for him. His agent will be all over it. I think it would be a really rash move if they didn't bring him back, especially because they're not going to have to pay the quarterback, starting quarterback money. So you can start spending money on other players around that quarterback to keep that quarterback, successful. So I think he's one of those valuable pieces, foundational players, for the Indianapolis Colts. What the number is, it's hard to judge at this moment as we sit. But once free agency hits and things start happening, and whether or not they want to tag or not, that's still a possibility. So, he's a player you definitely need to keep there.
It's Boomer Esiason with us. All right, the news yesterday, John Harbaugh, after 18 years out in Baltimore, which automatically vaults him to the top of the list of any potential replacements as a head coach of the NFL. And a lot of the mention has been where you are right there, the whole epicenter in New York and with the Giants. What do you think goes down there? Where do you ultimately think John Harbaugh regains his traction as an NFL head coach after 18 seasons in Baltimore?
100%. He can pick his job. We were talking about it on WFAN here in New York all day today, and my hopes for the Giants, because the Giants have been stuck in neutral now for about 10 years, is they finally have their young quarterback. They have a tremendous young wide receivers coming off a knee injury in Malik Neighbors. They got 2 running backs that are very good, a solid offensive line, and finally a quarterback that has gotten the fans around here really excited in Jackson Dart. So for me, it's easy and it's obvious. Being on the radio here for 18 years, covering all these New York teams and watching teams make bad decision after bad decision, whether it be general manager, whether it be coach, this is an inflection point for the New York Giants. They need to either hire John Harbaugh or Kevin Stefanski, in my eyes. It's got to be one of those 2 guys. That would excite the fan base here. John Harbaugh obviously being the number 1 guy. And, to me, it's a legacy franchise. And, he's a legacy type of guy. I know he's from Cleveland. I don't see him wanting to work with that owner after leaving Steve Bisciotti after 18 years. There's no way you're going to go to the Haslams. So I think, I think it would be a total sense to come here and work Joe Shane, the general manager that the Giants are keeping. The only or fly in the ointment, I should say, in regard to that would be if Arthur Blank is willing to give John Harbaugh total control down in Atlanta. And they do have a good roster, by the way, down there. So that would be another attractive job that, if the coach got more control there than he got at the Giants, then I could see maybe he goes there. But, it seems like it's a match made in heaven for either Stefanski or Harbaugh here in New York.
It's Boomer Esiason joins us. I'll kind of mix this in a little bit because I do want your thoughts on the college football playoff and certainly with IU, their role playing coming up on Friday at the Peach Bowl in Atlanta and their rematch against Oregon. But we're talking about the whole coaching carousel and John Harbaugh and where you would like to see him, or Kevin Stefanski as well at the top of that availability list. How would you consider, or would you consider, because this has been a worldwide leader hot topic in the past 48 hours or so, would you consider Kurt Cignetti a viable candidate possibility at the NFL level? Really, knowing nothing monetarily, nothing contractually, would you view a translation, you think, from college and what he's accomplished to the NFL as a legitimate possibility, or is that just basically fodder for sports talk radio?
I think it's fodder for sports talk radio. I think he's a great coach. I love his story. I love his attitude. He reminds me a little bit of Ben Johnson up in Chicago. He's got that edge to him, the chip on the shoulder. It's the whole we against the world type of attitude. He went to a small college to learn how to become a head coach. I think it's an amazing run, and I think he should stay there. I think he should honor the contract that Indiana gave him, all the promises that Indiana told him that they would give him if he came there. They've lived up to their end of the bargain. I think it's too late in the process now anyway for college, for Kurt to leave, to leave Indiana. That would leave Indiana in such a hole, I think, that it wouldn't be the right thing to do. And I don't necessarily know that he's that type of guy anyway. This is not Lane Kiffin going to LSU or or Brian Kelly leaving Notre Dame. I just don't see Curt Cignetti doing that. I actually see his team winning the national championship, that's for sure. And I think he's going to have a lot to celebrate back there in Bloomington.
Quarterback to quarterback, the Heisman Trophy winner, Fernando Mendoza. What have you thought about his season and his translation from being at Cal a year ago to the Heisman Trophy winner to taking this Hoosier football team at that position to a level in which we have never seen, and obviously that coming to a head in a rematch against Oregon on Friday?
He's an amazing young man. You know, every time I hear him interviewed, the more I like him. I can see the physical attributes are all there. Most quarterbacks that are drafted all have the physical attributes. The question is, do they have the heart? Do they have the brain? And do they have the ability to adapt to the next level? And I think that this young man is terrific. I love his story. I love his support of his mom. I love his support of his teammates. He doesn't like to glorify himself. He glorifies God, which is fine with me. I think he's a high character kid. I think he's going to be a really good pro. And I hope and pray to God that wherever he goes, they're going to take good care of him, that they're going to nurture him, that they're not going to force him on the field right away if he's not ready. And he's going to be in a really good situation. So that means they're going to be the Raiders or it's going to be the Jets. I'm hoping he goes to the Raiders simply because the Jets do not have a very good track record dealing with young quarterbacks.
It makes sense. Boomer Esiason of WFAN and CBS Sports Network, the former NFL quarterbacks on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. So 3 days of the postseason starts in the NFL coming up on Saturday. Is there a team over the other you like coming up out of these 3 days this weekend that gets us started in the postseason with the NFL, Boomer?
You know, I always like the 5 seeds in these games or the 6 seeds. And, you know, that's where your upsets mainly happen. Some of these 5 seeds, like the Texans, are going to be favored. You know, they're my dark horse AFC team. I think their defense is championship caliber. Every quarterback, and you guys have seen them up close and personal out there in Indianapolis, every quarterback that has played them, from Justin Herbert to Daniel Jones, you know, to all the top quarterbacks they played against, have really, really struggled against them. So I think they have a defense, as long as C.J. Stroud doesn't turn the football over and can give them about 20 points. I wouldn't be surprised if we're talking about the Texans in Super Bowl 60. And the other side, you know, I'm really interested to see what the Eagles are going to do offensively. They're going to get Lane Johnson back on their offensive line. He's a huge part of the success of Jalen Hurts. So if they can get their offense on track, I also love the Rams. I mean, I know that they didn't finish strong, losing 3 out of their last 4. But if I had to, you know, if I wasn't going to go chalk on you, John, which I'm not a chalk guy, I would say Rams, Texans, and Super Bowl 60 as I sit here right now. I could be completely wrong, but I could see that.
Boomer, I'm with you on the Texans. That's been my pick from the AFC, and for a lot of the logic that you just conveyed, and they have transformational dudes at positions in which in the NFL you get at this point of the season high-level play. I mean, you're talking about ends, you're talking about a quarterback, you're talking about a wide receiver. They have a lot, at least individually, of what it takes to make a team great this time of year, especially defensively.
And the one thing I will say, as long as Buffalo can stay away from them somehow, some way, maybe they end up in a AFC Championship game, the Bills at the Texans. I could see that. And then good luck with Josh Allen. Josh Allen has really struggled against this defense, and I personally don't think Buffalo's defense is good enough to get there. I think they're okay, but they're better when, you know, obviously Josh is doing his thing and they're scoring 30 points. But if they're in a tight, close game and the other team has the ball late in the game, it's very likely that the Bills' defense is going to give it up. So the defenses are the Eagles, the Broncos, the Texans, the Seahawks. Those are the 4 defenses that, you know, I am really high on, and those are the 4 defenses I can see any one of those teams making it to the Super Bowl.
I would like to go with Seattle, but I can't get all in. Maybe I should be transformed, but I can't get all in on Darnold. Although I think so much of what they do possess is playoff worthy of moving forward here. The quarterback, I still got to see
run the ball and play defense.
Yeah.
Run the ball and play defense, and a lot of, you know, he's got Kubiak. You know, he's got a lot of Mike Shanahan in him because of his history and who his dad is and what he's been around his entire life. And the one thing Seattle does, just like every great team does, when, you know, like Buffalo and Kansas City did when they were really good, what the Patriots did, when they were really good. I mean, you've got to be able to run the football. And they got 2 running backs out there in Seattle. And then a lot of things come off of this play-action passing game where there are 7-man protections, which kind of makes it a little bit easier for the quarterback. And the one thing I will say, San Francisco's defense is put together, with basically bubble gum. I mean, they're a sieve right now. So I'm glad for Sam Darnold that they were able to win on the road in San Francisco last week. Now I want to see it against some of the top defenses when they come out of the bye and see what happens, because that's really when we're going to find out whether or not he is truly a championship quarterback.
I do have a little bit of stake in this game, and the final question here is if IU goes to the national title, I'm going to go to South Florida for a weekend, so I'm very excited about that. So obviously you know where my lean is coming up on Friday in the Peach Bowl, but what are your thoughts on coming up tomorrow night in the Fiesta Bowl with Ole Miss and Miami, and then ultimately on Friday, Oregon and IU in that rematch? Who ends up in Miami for a title?
I think Miami and Indiana, and there's so much going on at Ole Miss right now with that coaching staff and coaches leaving. I mean, I don't know how those players, I think it's partly motivational for the players to play hard with the loss of Lane Kiffin. The entire offensive staff is going to end up going there. 2 more coaches are leaving this week. Charlie Weiss Jr. staying there to call plays, of course, but I mean, I got to believe Miami's defense is really going to be a bitch for Ole Miss. And then on the other side, I think, you talk about balanced teams. Both of these teams are really balanced, Oregon and Indiana. Indiana's defense was really impressive in their first game out. And so was Oregon, for that matter. They were bored with James Madison, but when they really needed it against Texas Tech, they showed up. So, I mean, to me, Dante Moore versus Fernando Mendoza doesn't get much better than that if you are a college football fan. But I think a tight one, but I'm going to go with Indiana.
That is Boomer Esiason from WFAN in New York and CBS Sports Network with the call that will get me a trip down to South Florida for a weekend. Thank you, brother. I appreciate that.
Well, listen, John, have a great trip because I think you're going. And I'm allowed to say that that's not touching the money because I'm a Maryland fan as opposed to an Indiana fan.
And you know what's interesting is on the hardwood, we've got a little IU basketball and a little turtle hoopage coming up later on tonight in the Big Ten.
I know. Well, we're both struggling. Well, we're struggling, really. So Maryland's in a transitional phase, got a new AD. We got a lot of things we got to straighten out.
You got it. Hey, it's always a pleasure to have you on. We shall do it again soon, Boomer. Thank you very much.
All righty, John. Thanks so much.
It's Boomer Esiason on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. That is a really good dude. And I know a lot of you probably aren't going to agree with his assessment of the Colts and where they are right now. But I know most of you are agreeing with his assessment of what he thinks about IU. And I should mention this again because you can check it out right now at bullseyeeventgroup.com. If the Hoosiers win in the Peach Bowl on Friday, you can join me in South Florida for what is a historic championship run possibility. Now, again, this is fully refundable. It's a 3-night package. You can buy now to lock in your space. If the Hoosiers win, you're in. And if they lose, which is incredibly unfortunate, it is 100% refundable. So if IU reaches college's biggest stage in South Florida, Bullseye Event Group takes you, and in this equation, us there. Round trip airfare, 3-night hotel. I believe at the Diplomat is where we're all going to be staying. You've got exclusive pregame events, game day transportation, tickets to the championship game. If Indiana does not advance, your booking is fully refundable. BullseyeEventGroup.com. That is up right now. And I know that they haven't advanced, but you do have to try to make longer than just a handful of days measures you take in preparation. So log on because, again, this is refundable if IU loses in Atlanta coming up on Friday. And I told you that Kyle Kinnett was going to put together something, and he has put together this. And this is going to be an exceptional pregame party per usual, and we are all going to have a blast, and we're all going to have a blast together. Log on right now and check it out. Put those wheels in motion with BullseyeEventGroup.com. Boomer Esiason, the podcast at 1075thefan.com. Danny Cannell and a lot more still to come on college football and the grandest stage tomorrow night and on Friday night, and our road show at Clayton's Country Bar coming up on Friday. A little pre-party for you, and we're going to watch the game there as well. And I hear that there's some dude from Noblesville on the stage. I'll have to check with that. I know that I'm going to be on the stage doing A Devil Went Down to Georgia. But I've also heard there's some local flavor going to happen coming up on Friday. Clayton's Country Bar, we're going to be downtown to pre-party for IU in the Peach Bowl against Oregon, and then to watch the game as well. That's Clayton's Country Bar. Cannot wait to see you. Meantime, let's take a break. We'll come back in studio on this Wednesday. Thank you all for joining us. The stream, the app, HD Radio, AAA membership lounge via YouTube Live. Become a AAA member today. The open road support that is necessary for you. That's AAA.com. This is 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan. Hey, John here for Big Red Liquors. Big Red Liquors has you covered for all of your game time, game viewing, party enjoyment. So they're going to give you big game savings for your fan favorites like Maker's Mark 101, 750s, $10 off right there. Four Roses, 80 proof, 750s, $5 in savings. How about this? It is a part of the JMV takeover, double shot power. That's High Noon 8-packs, $2 off. Hennessy 750s, $1 off. Budweiser, Bud Light products, $2 off. Their Twisted Tea, their family of 12-packs. You're going to save $1 on that, too. And what about the non-alcoholic brands of Heineken, of Athletic, and more? Big savings at Big Red Liquors. 100-plus locations throughout the state of Indiana. There's one near you, powering the JMV takeover every Saturday night on B105.7. To find those deals and the location nearest you just in time for that big game enjoyment, that's BigRedLiquors.com.
The Ride with JMV.
Smokey, this is not Nam. This is bowling. There are rules.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Boomer Esiason, the podcast, 1075thefan.com. Bo, on top of the hour. I think Kinnet's going to jump on here, too, tell you more about the Bullseye trip if the Hoosiers win coming up on Friday. And Danny Cannell, CBS Sports Network, and more joins us coming up at the 5 o'clock hour. More in-depth on Ole Miss and Miami coming up tomorrow night of the Fiesta Bowl. And then, of course, the Peach Bowl on Friday features Oregon and IU. This is from our friend Greg, and it took me a minute to look up the word minutia, certainly to look it up and learn how to pronounce it. The minutia stat of the day. If IU wins the next two games, James, Cignetti will have tweezed the total number of wins by the three best teams in school history prior to Cignetti's arrival. The minutia stat of the day. That's nuts right there. That is absolutely crazy. IU Oregon Friday night. Clayton's Country Bar. We're going to lead you to it. We're going to watch, hang out with you there. The Corn Man up in Noblesville. There's a Noblesville talent, I think, that's going to be on stage as well coming up on Friday. I'll make sure. Hey, Corn Man, send me that name again so I can tell people all about that coming up on Friday. Clayton's Country Bar downtown for us on Friday. This is on the text line at 317-239-1070. JMV, John from Brownsburg here. I don't have to listen to Ballard's press conference. There are three things you got to say. One, we got to get better. It falls on me. And third is that there are no consequences that I have to pay for being as bad as I have been or with the lack of results, according to John in Brownsburg. Chris Ballard with the media tomorrow at 11 a.m. JMV, your suggestion was right on. Most Colts fans would say hire the former Ravens coach John Harbaugh the moment he got fired. Or mutually agreed after 18 incredibly successful seasons to go a different direction. That's how it was in context described. JMV, I agree with the Colts need a team president and a football guy steering the ship. Are there any serious talks of that in the organization? I don't think, Cole, thank you for that. I don't think there are any serious talks about that whatsoever. When I talk to people, people think, well, that's Chris Ballard. If anything tells you that Monday told you that you need that. You need it. Now, before any of it, you need some success, or at least what people would believe to be a vision, a pathway to like any decent more than 2 months, more than a handful of games and success. I think that is more magnified after Monday more than ever. You just need it. Well, Chris is that, and Chris is going to talk. Because here's the other problem. The head coach, as they like to say, ain't great at that either. And I will also tell you this. Like Shane Steichen, when I have talked with him, the phone interview, not good. The face-to-face, really good. He is good when he's face-to-face. It is not good on the phone. And all you're going to get is a bunch of coach speak. And nobody wants to hear a mediocre and less than, a losing, not reaching, not getting results, not, reaching where they tell you they're going to reach. Nobody wants to hear from that person in the first place. So, yes, that has to come correct with winning. But the great thing, and Bill Polian's a Hall of Famer, and he's different, and I'm not suggesting you got to go out and find the next Bill Polian. But the great thing about Bill Polian is when he wanted to tell you everything, he wanted to go tell you everything. And he knew absolutely everything that was going on. without question. You knew who ruled, and you also knew who ruled because when things didn't go so well and he became vulnerable from those that may have crossed his path in the past and been ripped, or he had been critical, they all went at him. That just kind of comes with the territory, especially when we reach the level that he did. But I'm not suggesting you have to have like Bill Polian Jr., but you have to have somebody to do it. I thought that became more evident than ever on Monday. It remains the same. Quick break, we'll come back. Danny Cannell is going to join us in over an hour. We'll break down the semifinals of the college football playoff. Kevin Bowen on the other side, front and center tomorrow at 11 a.m. with Chris Ballard, the Colts general manager, meeting with the media. What can he say that would be any different than what he has said for the most part over the previous 9 years? Anything? Anything whatsoever. Kevin Bowen on that. The Pacers, some college hoop. You got both IU and Purdue in action later on tonight as well. We've got it for you. Don't go anywhere. Stream the app. It's HD Radio, the AAA membership lounge via YouTube Live. Become a AAA member today. Thank me later. I think Kyle Kinnett from Bullseye also will join us too. Bullseye's got that South Florida package if IU wins. We'll further explain how you can be a part of that too. Don't go anywhere. It's 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan. Oh, you got that right. You want your real growing hair again? That is just a phone call away. 317-522-2995. Darren Andrews, he'll talk with you. Tell you all about how you can get your real growing hair back again with WeGrowHairAndy.com. I've always said this. If you want to be bald, be bald. If you dig wearing a hat all the time and you want to be bald, do it. There's nothing wrong with it, but this is somebody that wanted his real growing hair back and got it. And if you want that option, it's very easy to get. 317-522-2995. It's that simple. Make that call and find out what Darren Andrews can do for you to reestablish the real hair growth with WeGrowHairAndy.com. One more time, 317-522-2995. The gold standard is right here in your backyard. So, fellas, you want that real hair growth? Take advantage of it today. That's WeGrowHairAndy.com.
The Ride with JMV.
Dude, most metal
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
So somebody took that photo of me when I was at Indiana State drinking beer off the carpet and then made it into a Grok AI video.
Oh,
where
really?
all of a sudden it doesn't look like me anymore, but it's got me saying something about Miles Turner. Have you seen that?
I have not, no.
See if that's arable right there. You check it out on my X feed. And I'm assuming this particular, I'll go ahead and say jackass. I don't mind it. It doesn't, I think it's funny, but I think this particular jackass clearly just joined X to do this. So when I have those motivational effects on folks, that makes a guy feel really good right there. And in reality, James, I wouldn't mind to get some more of the pictures and try to put something like this together. Although it kind of looks like Joey Molinaro right there. Have you seen, are you looking at it?
I can find the picture. I am not seeing the Grok animated AI thing or whatever it is. Oh, there it is.
Do you see it?
I see it. Wow, that does not look like you the moment it starts.
No, I mean, it is me, and then it turns into Joey Molinaro. And Joey Molinaro when he's 18. I'm still got the same clothes on, and I still got the same hiking boots on.
I don't think that's arable.
I don't think it is either, is it?
Yeah, it's a little inappropriate.
Hey, listen, hey, jackass, I like the initiative you took, but can you make something that's arable for me? I don't want to send this back out. Man. All right, you get guys to make something, and there's a little bit of genius in it, and you got to act like a jackass. I mean, really, I don't care what was said, but at least make it arable so we can have some fun with it. Numb nuts. It is pretty funny, though, you have to admit.
Yeah, it's interesting.
And I will say this, the people that are around me in this picture look nothing like the people that were around me. This goes, I think, back to 1992 right here. Maybe even 91. Actually, I think that's 91.
Well,
that is somewhere in the late summer of 1991.
AI still has its limitations. It's not perfect yet.
And I've got a Public Enemy concert T-shirt on, too. And no ass. I didn't realize I didn't have an ass back then. Do I still not have an ass?
I can't say I've looked too much, John.
Andy Moore, Automotive Group Hotline for the Fan Morning Show. Kevin Bowen, who is putting together a swimming pool in his basement, joins us now. Kev, do I have an ass? You ever notice?
Yeah, I'll probably echo what James said there and just kind of follow in that path. I will share this. I meant to text you yesterday, John. I had a listener DM me and said, have you ever thought that JMV looks like Matt Eberflus?
Really? Wow.
So I offer that up to you. Have you ever
nobody
mistaken for?
No. Nobody has ever said that. When I was growing up, when I was back, let's say in college, like where this particular AI video was established, some people suggested I looked a little bit like Emilio Estevez. And since that point in time, Gary LaVox, who's the lead singer of Rascal Flatts, everybody says I look like him, but he's much more fat than I am now. So I don't know if I still do or not. I think still on the face. I'm looking at, do I look like Eberflus?
I could kind of see it. I mean, I maybe a hair of a stretch, but
he's much more
kind of see it.
Much more gray than I am. It's the hair. That's what is the hair portion of it, and because maybe I'm just a little bit better at defensive coordination than he is, right?
I was waiting for you to kind of slide that in there.
You're waiting on that. I can kind of, exactly. I do. There's a picture here where he's looking straight on, and if you minus the gray beard right there, then yeah, I mean, it does kind of look, there's a picture, James, that looks like this right here. It looks like whatever the hell this is. If you guys are watching with our feed via YouTube Live, the AAA Membership Lounge, and you can see that, it looks like that. I believe the guy's name is R.J. Ochoa that has a story, and Eberflus is obviously standing there for the national anthem, Kev, and without the gray beard, that does kind of look like this photograph behind me right here. So I can get that. Well done by whomever sent you that.
And currently, albeit he's probably a little more well-off financially, nothing, against you, but, currently you are employed and he is not. So there you go. You have that going for you as well.
No question. Hey, before we get into it, I know Chris Ballard with the media, you guys coming up at 11 a.m. tomorrow. How's the pool side situation going in the basement?
Shout out to the Michaelis crew. You want to talk about prompt? You want to talk about on time? Oh my gosh. Yes. You and I, chatted about 10:01 today.
Yes.
And I swear they're at my house ready to go with about 35 dudes and fans galore about 10:30. So outstanding prompt. Yes. Unfortunately, a flooded basement from last night with a broken water heater. Not ideal by any means, but we are restoring that thing as we speak. So yeah, thank you for that, and shout out to the Michaelis crew.
So what happened? Did you have a compromised pipe, or what? Something
broken
clogged?
Broken water heater is what we have deemed, and the water softener's not working. So, boy, nothing says 100-year-old home like the old paycheck that's looking like it might be a comma for the old Bowen family here. Or well over a comma, I should say. So, not ideal at all.
Well, I got some folks that can help you. So you just let me know. Much like and Michaelis is certainly a big part of what we do right here in the building, and we've got more folks that can certainly give a little helper to Matty Bowen in the household right there.
Joseph, outstanding at Michaelis on site. Corey and Brady and their team, great work. So hopefully we'll be at least back and dry down there in the next, 72 hours.
Well, let us know what we can do to help right there. And certainly I know everybody will be all hands on deck to help you guys out. But I'm glad you got through it. And a shout out to Michaelis for getting over there in prompt fashion and getting the drying effect underway. That's Kevin Bowen of the Fan Morning Show, along with James Boyd and Jeff Rickard. Kev's kind enough to join us on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. What possibly can we hear tomorrow at 11 a.m. from Chris Ballard that we haven't heard time and time again already through the first 9 years?
Well, the easy answer would be nothing. And I felt that way, frankly, last January when, we were probably having a similar conversation on the Wednesday before him speaking to the media, and getting a year 9 back then. And honestly, I felt a little bit about Carly Gordon earlier in the week. Now, granted, it was kind of the first time we've heard her in that type of environment. So, I do think there's probably a little bit more intrigue or curiosity from me in regards to that. I'd say the only real, there are a couple of things, but I would say the main thing with Ballard tomorrow for me is, last year at this time, I walked away from that press conference. There were 2 big differences from his message. It was the defensive philosophy that I've believed in for the better part of Eberflus, to be honest with you, and then Gus Bradley. We need to change that. And so, therefore, the actions spilled out. Gus Bradley fired, Lou Anarumo hired. And then the other big thing was, how I have approached free agency also needs to change. We need to be more aggressive and not be as frugal as we have been during that time of year. And again, actions kind of back that up. But I sit here today, John, and I just don't know, I don't expect defensive changes. I don't, free agency wise, I assume they'd operate in the same manner. I outside of maybe cutting of some veterans or moving some veterans that he has re-signed, really not something he's ever done, certainly outside the quarterback position. I don't know what will change from him. I think it will be largely the operational of run it back. Maybe I'm wrong, but
yeah,
that was kind of what I heard from Carly Gordon earlier in the week.
Yeah, that just wasn't wordplay either. That's what they believe in. And my question is, do they believe in it because to the root they believe in it, or because they're screwed and they're soaking in it? There's really no other alternative but to believe in it.
Well, that is a good point. When you don't have your first round pick, there's obviously almost only so much they can do. They are right now cap space wise, they're north of $50 million. That's a big number. But then when you start to think what Alec Pierce and Daniel Jones will get, I mean, that eats up a ton of it, if not all of it. So, to make more of it, you're going to have hard conversations about the future of Michael Pittman Jr., Zaire Franklin. We'll see about Javarius Ward's situation. I'm trying to think who else. Kenny Moore II. Jonathan Taylor, as crazy as that might sound. Again, I'm not saying you need to be trading or cutting all these guys, but certainly restructuring or looking into some of that, I think, is a must. But yeah, I don't have a great answer for you. Defensive line, I think, needs some big time retooling. That has been a position group that annually Ballard has invested in and has just not delivered. So, what will be the plan there? But again, I think he'll be fired up and he'll be emotional and he'll offer certainly more entertainment than Carly did earlier in the week. There's no denying that. That's how he typically is in these settings. But this just sounds like, hey, we are praying to the football gods that everyone will be healthy, and that's our goal.
Yeah, and your quarterback is going to be back. I mean, you talk about a ferocious timeline to get somebody back. And then you got to cross your fingers again and hope that a guy that has been, for the most part, consistently injured over the first, 6-7 years of his career is not going to be that here in the short term. There is little direction and just a lot of fingers being crossed and hope for a situation that you can understand why Colts fans go, you got to be kidding me. Here we go again.
Yeah, and the Jones part of it that you just brought up is probably one of the more head-scratching for me. And again, we're not even talking about Daniel Jones, the football player. Like, I think there is still a little bit of like, wait a minute, is he really a dude? Like, did all of a sudden Shane Steichen really unlock something that can last for 17 weeks? So let's put that question, to the back burner. Obviously, the front burner is the injury situation. And, in our town right now, you have a Pacers team that has said, hey, 16 months for Tyrese Halliburton. That's what it ultimately will be. For Daniel Jones, they're saying 10 months at the most important position in sports. And he has had other injuries throughout his football career, dating back to Duke. Definitely very oft injured. And then the other thing I would add, too, is this. There's one. To me, there's two big kind of Daniel Jones questions for 2026. One, when does he return to play? Two, when does he return to actually move again? Like, we saw him this year, when he played but was limited in his movement. Yeah, it was not pretty. It was not anywhere near the offense you had early in the season. So, it's one, he's cleared for week 1. Okay, that's fine. But if he doesn't look like his normal self until week 6, 8, 10, or, God forbid, next year, and by next year I would mean 2027, then that obviously is a big, big issue. And again, Jones is just one of it. Buckner, Ward, those two are obviously, close on the list as well.
There are a lot of failings with this team that we saw that resulted in yet another season, the 5th consecutive without a postseason for the Colts, Kev. But the one that really has not widely been discussed is the significant slide of that offensive line as we went further and further into the season.
Yeah, I don't know if I hold it in as high regard as some of the others. When you look at that group as a whole, did Bernard Ryman have a perfect season by any means? I don't think so. I think there was some general edge pressure that we saw there when Jones got hurt. I thought Jalen Travis did okay when he was asked to start. Could he be that guy now moving forward at right tackle? So, was the offensive line, some stout, I don't know, top 5 unit? Certainly. I mean, the run game would be the easiest one you would point to in the second half of the season, where it was unbelievable. When Carl Gordon describes the season as a tale of two halves, really the run game was a tale of two halves. Pass protection wise, I thought they held up pretty good for the most part. I think they finished kind of top 10 in sacks allowed, but man, rushing offense, just a total 180 from that. So I assume their starting offensive line next year will be the same that we saw there kind of late in the season. I know it wasn't for many games, but I would guess that Braden Smith exits. I don't know if he retires, but I would guess he exits because he's a free agent. Then Jalen Travis would take over as right tackle. And again, you just don't have enough resources this offseason to try to reinvent the wheel at a ton of position groups. So, I would assume the O-line is largely the same that we saw late in December there.
So, Kev, what do you think happens first? Daniel Jones resumes his career as a starting quarterback with the Colts, or Rick Carlisle gets win number 1,000? Which happens first?
Unbelievable. I was thinking today or yesterday when we had him on, I'm like, I asked him that 999 to 1,000 question, I think a month ago.
Yeah.
And I want to say tomorrow is the month anniversary of their last win. It's just, 13 is such a big number. And, if you want to look at the last two, certainly last night was one of their best chances they've had in, weeks to get a win.
Should they be that bad?
Considering how well they played.
Should they be that bad?
Say that again.
Should they be that bad?
Yeah, it is worse than I thought. Now, the injury situation is obviously worse than I certainly expected going into the year, given how much time Matherin's missed, how much time Nemhard has missed, how much time, Obi Toppin has missed, and Neesmith. The list goes on and on. But 6 and whatever it is, I don't even know how many losses it is. That to me is worse than I even expected, because there are many nights, John. And again, the last couple games are an example of it. Like, you play Cleveland last night, they don't play Donovan Mitchell. You play Orlando twice in the last whatever week. There's no Franz Wagner for either of those games. Miami, if my memory serves right, a couple games ago, they didn't have Bam Adebayo and Tyler Hero. Like, they are getting some of that. Now, again, I'm not sitting here saying the injury situation for the opponent has been equal to the Pacers, but they're not playing these teams at full strength there. So, if you would have laid out the injury picture at the start of the season and say, hey, whatever, 35 games into it, they're going to have X amount of games missed for all these guys, I still would have thought they'd be in the double-digit range, but I don't know, probably not much higher than that, to be honest.
So Kevin Bowen, the Fan Morning Show, along with James Boyd and Jeff Rickard. Kevin's on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. So you look at Oregon and IU and how well, just how clean IU played and their dominance over Alabama. And they had like a month off. We saw what they looked like with a month off. How do you think they look like coming up on Friday night in Atlanta with around 10 days to prepare, or at least 10 days since they last played and played so well in the Rose Bowl?
Yeah, my level of comfort isn't at the Alabama level. I thought they'd win, easily. I think I said 2-score win easily, but I didn't. I really think they will win, not comfortably again, but I fully expect them to get it done. I'm not falling into the necessarily, hey, it's hard to beat a team twice. I understand an element of that, but, let's go back and look at that first game. I think it was the most penalized game of the season for Indiana on the road in that environment. You look at a guy like Charlie Becker, he hadn't really established himself as what we've seen here. And, Jordan Davidson, we saw that news yesterday, Oregon's leading rusher in that game, and now he's out. So I think there are a lot of things that you point to for Indiana. And, if you're an Oregon fan right now, just the chaos of what your coaching staff is going through. I know the Ole Miss situation's in a different stratosphere, but, Oregon's offensive and defensive coordinators both have taken jobs, Kentucky and Cal. And, we have seen the portal craze right here in our own backyard, whether you're an IU fan basking in it or you're a Notre Dame fan freaking out about it. Like, we have seen this play out. And, Kentucky has been involved. For those that have not been glued to the portal, first off, congratulations. You live a sane life. But Kentucky, flipped the Notre Dame backup, Kenny Minchie, from Nebraska to them, here in the last day or so. I assume Will Stein, their offensive coordinator, who is now the head coach at Kentucky, is paying attention to all of it and is probably, instead of, hey, should I watch, an extra half hour of cut-ups on, Brian Haynes and their third down blitz package? No, actually, I'm probably going to be more worried about, hey, who should we offer in the portal here once this Oregon season is over? Whereas Mike Shanahan for IU, their OC, and Brian Haynes, their DC, they are locked and loaded. Oregon. So I think that's another big advantage. And I really think it'll be overwhelming Indiana fans down there. I have flashbacks. I know it's not the same to the 2012 Sweet 16 there, being in the Georgia Dome for that game as a senior at IU, covering it for the IDS. And it was cream and crimson galore with Kentucky. It was so much cream and crimson there, and I fully expect it to be whatever 70-30, 80-20, maybe even bigger than that.
Gotta have a win so I can go to South Florida.
That's what I heard. Is this a little bullseye action down there?
Bullseye and the Diplomat down there. Can you imagine hanging out with me in South Florida for a weekend of this?
I was going to say, I've been fortunate enough to, party with you at some local watering holes around town. Buddy. South Beach, John.
I know.
You want to talk about it? They will be calling you Eberflus down there.
There's Eberflus in here. Maybe I'll get a gig. Wow. Hey, I appreciate that. The best of luck with you continued on the basement situation. And again, a shout out to Michaelis. And if you need anything, any help with anybody that we have partnerships with the station on that, you let us know so we can get that going, okay?
John, great friend. I appreciate the help. And yes, shout out to the Michaelis crew and everything this morning. Big time for the Bowen family.
You got it. Hey, tell award winner in the morning, too, to work on that broke-ass jumper for the weekend, okay?
Oh, my God. Man, as soon as Carlisle called him the rising king of media, I swear I thought that ego was going to fall out the second floor window.
Man.
I thought we had a big ego from noon to 3. Now we got another one in this studio.
Oh, man. Let us know if we can help.
All right, see you, John.
Kevin Bowen, the Fan Morning Show. And again, Chris Bowd, 11 a.m. coming up tomorrow morning. He's meeting with the media. We'll have full details coming up for you. Of course, Jake will with Query & Company at noon, and then we'll have you at 3 until 6 and be yip-yapping that up for damn sure. Hey, by the way, I should mention, too, Purdue and Washington at Mackey tonight, and IU's on the road at Maryland. For El Payne, the Terrapins' big man is out for tonight's game against Indiana, and Maryland has been the most struggling team in the Big Ten so far. It is an opportunity that IU needs to take advantage of. You can't be losing a game on the road to Maryland coming up later on tonight. Purdue gets Washington at home. That is 6:30 and 8:30, respectively. I believe Big Ten Network double dip for you on this Wednesday of college basketball. More on that coming up. Our good friend Kyle Kinnett, a bullseye in what he's got going for you if the Hoosiers win, coming up on Friday in Atlanta. And Danny Cannell will break down how the Hoosiers can win against the Ducks in that rematch coming up on Friday as well. AAA Membership Lounge via YouTube Live. Become a AAA member today. As I always like to tell you, then thank me later, because the support of the open road you get with my friends, Matt and the gang at AAA, that is essential purpose. Your calls at 239-1070. Would love to talk you up. 2317-239-1070. That is the text line if you want to jump in there as well. It's 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan. Oh, I got a great idea for you. What about tonight, man? You're looking around. Where am I going to have dinner? For you, significant other, you and the family, you and friends. We're going to watch where you're going to go, where you can do what everybody else wants to do, while also eyeballing, for example, IU Maryland, Purdue, and Washington. I've got the spots for you, plural. Northside Clearwater Crossing, the District Tap, downtown Indy, the District Tap. Incredible happy hour specials, which, by the way, is underway right now. Take advantage of that. Damn good food, and the TVs strategically placed where you can pay attention to the person you're having dinner with, but at the same time, keep an eyeball on those games of your choice. You can do that at the District Tap. Northside, Clearwater Crossing, downtown Indy. To find out about that, the event space you can rent. You can find out about the live music they have on the weekends as well. Damn good food, happy hour specials. That's thedistricttab.com.
The Ride with JMV.
You take drugs, Danny?
Every day.
Good. So what's the problem?
I don't know.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Hey, welcome back. Our good friend Kyle Cannett of Bullseye Eventgroup.com is going to join us in a second. Danny Cannell, another good friend, top of the hour. We've got college football on our minds, but college hoop on the agenda later on tonight. Got IU and Maryland, 6:30, that tip time. I'm assuming around about 5:30 or so, that's when things take over on 93 WIBC with Don Fisher, Eric Sewer, and John Herrick, as that is live from Maryland for you, 93 WIBC. Meantime, you get Washington and Purdue coming up later on tonight at 8:30 in a Big Ten double dip for you as well. If you watched on Sunday night, the Huskies beaten down in Bloomington by IU. And if you're an IU fan, the Terrapins of Maryland, simply put, have not been very good at all so far this season. Miles Rice is the former IU guard, by the way, is a member of that Terrapin team. Later on tonight, that is the matchup, too. And I believe we've got Greg Rakestraw on the horizon with the Horizon League and the Colts update, so we may have to bail just a little bit earlier than usual. And to add to the fun of what is going to be the end of the week, Clayton's Country Bar downtown. It is a pre-Peach Bowl extravaganza, and then we're going to watch that bad boy together, too. Cornman. Where's Jason Cornman? Cornman's got to tell me who the dude is from Noblesville that's playing at Clayton's Country Bar coming up on Friday, too. Hey, if you're on hold, I'll get back to you. I know AJ and Steve, you are lurking. That is coming up. Chris Ballard meets with the media tomorrow at 11 a.m. A full breakdown of that. Mike Chappell on the show tomorrow. Former Hoosier and NFLer Adewale Ogunleye will join us on the show coming up tomorrow, too. The former Hoosier will talk up his favorite college football program and some Peach Bowl stuff with Adewale Ogunleye coming up on tomorrow's show. Meantime, at the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline, simply put, this gentleman's my hero because he puts together, you know me, I'm Mr. Party, and I love a party, and there are no better parties anywhere than what Kyle Cadet does with BullseyeEventGroup.com, and he joins us now. My hero, Kyle Cadet.
What's going on, my man? How you doing?
For a guy like me that loves to party, you're always there for me, brother. Always.
You know what? Listen. I was literally, I was thinking about you earlier today. I drug your ass to London.
You did.
All the way across the pond.
You did.
Took you to London. I drug your ass all the way to New Orleans.
You did.
Boy, Ron Miner. Saw you come up the next day. You looked like you saw a ghost, or you looked like a ghost because you were partying the night before.
I was. Yeah. Our late, great friend, Ron Miner.
Somewhere else.
Yes.
Yeah, Ron Miner.
Ron Miner was with us.
We were pushing the bus in Kansas City.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, me and Tucker Barnhart and Drew Storr. And by the way, playing Major League Baseball, we're pushing cars off the off ramp so our bus could get up to get to Arrowhead Stadium. We did that, and
that's exactly right.
The New Orleans Monday Nighter, I have never been so hungover. And listen, I've had some hungover experiences, Kyle, but I've never been that hungover because I was celebrating my 50th birthday, and then the late DJ Indiana Jones, our friend Ron Miner, he had a DJ party where we just jumped in somebody's car, and hell, I don't even know where we went. we ended up, and he was DJing there.
That's par for the course for Ron Miner. Yeah. I saw you come up, and I was like, oh boy, he's in trouble.
Yeah, I had to do the entire Colts pregame show sideways from a lounge chair because I couldn't keep my head up. It was bad.
Yeah,
but I loved it though.
Here's what I'm going to tell you.
Okay.
This trip that we're doing to Fort Lauderdale, I think it might top all of it.
Well, I'm ready for it. Tell me what people can do right now to log on and be a part of this event.
All right. So first of all, it's fully refundable. So if you buy it now, which I encourage everybody to do because inevitably this is going to sell out. So if you purchase it now and by chance my Hoosiers don't make it, fully refundable same day. No questions asked. If they advance, they win, you're automatically booked. But our package is round trip airfare, nonstop direct flight from Indianapolis, released Saturday morning at 10 a.m. to Fort Lauderdale. 3 nights hotel stay in Fort Lauderdale. We're at the Diplomat Hotel, which is like probably the best, if not one of the best resorts there in Fort Lauderdale. So hotel stay Saturday, Sunday, Monday. You're coming with us. CBS 4 is coming with us. Fox 59 is coming with us. We got a welcome reception at the hotel, on the beach, got a pool. It's a big resort, so it's a place to spread out. And then we're going to have a game day tailgate prior to the game on Martin Luther King Day. And we're going to go watch our Hoosiers play football.
I am I'm thinking how great.
Come back Tuesday morning, home by noon.
Wow, that is great. And again, this is all refundable too.
From the airport, listen, transportation from the airport to the hotel, transportation from the hotel to the game, transportation from the hotel back to the airport the next day, fully refundable.
Man, and all we have to do to have that happen is for IU to get it done on Friday, Kyle. That's all that has to happen. Then the wheels are in motion.
I'm telling you, I was at that Rose Bowl, and that wasn't an ass kicking. That was just methodical. The way they just I don't know, man. That's as good of a football team as I've seen play in a long time in college.
It was of the remaining teams too, and obviously Oregon is pretty good. We saw that back in October when IU won out in Eugene. But that was if you look around who's remaining here, in really any of the games so far, I don't think anybody has performed the entirety of a game as clean as IU did and as dominant as IU did against Alabama. I mean, that's simply put how good they were. And you could say what you want about Alabama, but that is still Alabama that you're absolutely deep-pantsing in that game. And they did it, as you mentioned, as clean as you could ask for. I mean, no turnovers. I don't know, one penalty, I think. I mean, it was...
Two incompletions for 3/4 of football.
It's incredible stuff. It was.
It really is. And look, the college football hate a lot with NIL and transfer portal, but our coach, man, who wouldn't want to play for that guy?
Yeah. Well, we also should remind everybody, too, and I remember I was a part of this, and I did some MC work for you before the Big Ten final. You had another job well done, and bullseye through that party before Ohio State and IU, and that went over smashingly. And this is going to be yet another chapter in the legend that is Kyle Kinnett putting on a party. Yeah. This is just going to be a weekend banger right here, which is outstanding.
Yes, it is. And look, and we do a lot with the Colts and travel. The cool part about when you do something like this is you're seeing the same people for 3 days, and it's a traveling party, and everybody gets to know each other, and it's just becomes a tight-knit group of a couple hundred, 200-300 people, and it's a lifetime experience, right? Like, if I'd have said to you 2 years, 3 years ago, we're playing for the national championship, you would have thought we were talking basketball, but it's truly a lifetime experience. What really life is all about is just experiences and having a good time. This is as good as it gets, man.
Yeah, it is going to sell out as well. And again, if IU does not win, that's incredibly unfortunate, but it is fully refundable if they do not win with bullseyeeventgroup.com. So people can log on right now and go ahead and take part and get it and be a part of the party that weekend, right?
Yeah. Yeah, you gotta keep your act together. I can't have you getting sideways on the couch on me again.
Oh, I can't help it. Well, listen, I can't help it. Sideways is my middle name, buddy.
The station to be calling me. Where's JMV? He's late. He's asleep in a lounge chair on the beach.
Yeah, it's funny. Rickard popped his head in, and I think he expected me to go to a press conferences and stuff down there. I go, okay, probably not.
Yeah, exactly. That's right.
Unless I am allowed to pass out there. No, seriously, I'm always up for a good time, and you always given such top shelf good times. We appreciate you for that. And again, this is a trip to Fort Lauderdale with bullseyeeventgroup.com for the national championship game. And if IU doesn't win, it's refundable. But, I mean, you get the pregame party, which is legendary, a meet and greet when we get there. I mean, all the bells and whistles to, really once-in-a-lifetime opportunity is what it is.
Hey, look, I hope that we have this. I hope that we're saying, okay, it's kind of old hat now, 5-6 years down the road. We do this several times, but truly it's once in a lifetime opportunity to start now. Yeah, look, we make it easy for everybody. We said on the Fox 59 News this morning, all you got to do is show up at the airport in Indianapolis. The rest is taken care of. I mean, truly, the rest is done. So
it's beautiful. All right, and it's ready to go right now, correct? bullseyeeventgroup.com?
Yep.
All right, stay in touch. Anything you need, let me know. But I'm absolutely on board. I cannot wait.
You what type of sweat? You don't wear a Speedo, do you? You wear a
I'm made down there. Yeah. You're going to have to make me wear a shirt. I can damn straight tell you that.
Right. There you go. There you go.
Now, hey, awesome as usual. bullseyeeventgroup.com for that trip to Fort Lauderdale, and what again is a once in a lifetime. You hope it's more than once in a lifetime, but as of right now, this is a once in a lifetime opportunity that I know everybody would love to be involved with Kyle and us with bullseyeeventgroup.com. We're going to send folks your way, buddy. Thank you very much.
All right, my man. Go Hoosiers.
That is Kyle Kinnett right there, bullseyeeventgroup.com. Check it out right now. Yeah, and listen, I know you're going to say, hey, you're 56, and what are you talking like this for? I don't care if I'm 56, 66, or 76. I'm down for a good time because we all have to endure so much crap. We're owed. We owe it to ourselves to throw it out. It's not like you got to throw it out. I mean, I'm not like Charlie Sheen Jr. right here, but do I like to throw it out too? Yes. Join me and we'll do it. He's right about New Orleans. That was messy. Too sugar. James, part of the issue with New Orleans is it's one thing, like I can handle the alcohol, but if you mix it into those sweet Kool-Aid drinks like the Hurricane, that is such a problem. That's where the headache comes from right there.
Yeah,
that's it.
The sugar kills you.
I mean, New Orleans, that was a Monday nighter. Not only was I a mess, but the Colts, if you remember, Drew Brees, I think, threw about 9,000 touchdown passes, and I think maybe had one incompletion or something, if you remember that Monday nighter. That was ugly. And then going to London was awesome, too. We did the this show, which I believe I'm going to take and do a show down there if IU wins, too, on that particular Monday. But if you remember back when the Colts went to London in 2016, we did our shows from the Admiralty in Trafalgar Square. God, it was a great time. Now, the Colts stunk it up on that Sunday, but we did these shows at Trafalgar Square at the Admiralty. That was a damn good time right there, too. So go ahead and log on, bullseyeeventgroup.com. That's Kyle Kinnett right there, who puts together all these great opportunities for you to do stuff that just realistically you never thought you were going to have the chance to do. And this certainly would be one in Fort Lauderdale for the national championship game. Again, provided IU wins, go ahead and log on and purchase that now. And if they don't win on Friday, and then it's completely refundable. BullseyeEventGroup.com. Danny Cannell is going to talk about how IU can beat Oregon twice in one season. Coming up here at the top of the hour. Also, a little bit of light in on Ole Miss and Miami as well. And probably some interesting conversations regarding the NFL, especially that of John Harbaugh. If you missed that or a conversation with Boomer Esiason a little bit earlier, that podcast at 1075thefan.com. Seems like everybody would want John Harbaugh as the leader of their team, but Boomer seems to think that, much like everybody else, it's ultimately going to be the Giants. Boomer Esiason podcast, 1075thefan.com. Wild Card Weekend is also going to be upon us, which also goes into Monday. 4:30, the Rams and the Panthers from Charlotte. 8 o'clock, the Packers and the Bears. That is exclusively on Prime. Fox has the Rams and the Panthers. On Sunday, CBS, Bills and Jaguars. You'd have to ask for Josh Allen, if this isn't the year, then when is it going to be? Bills defense may have something to say about that, too, because that is faulty. Bills and Jaguars at 1, 4:30 for the 49ers and the Eagles. That's on Fox. NBC has the Chargers and the Patriots from Foxborough at 8. Monday night, my pick to rep the AFC is who Boomer Esiason has, the Houston Texans. I know it sounds really weird, but I have the Houston Texans. 8:15, Texans and the Steelers from Pittsburgh. That is ESPN on ABC, Monday Night Football, to wrap up Wild Card Weekend. Quick break, we'll come back. Danny Cannell, top of the hour. AAA Membership Lounge via YouTube Live. Become a AAA member today. It is a great time to do that. Also, once we get into stuff you like to do outside, especially, great deals and discounts on the things you do for entertainment in and around Central Indiana. Become a AAA member right now, AAA.com, or just download the app to your smartphone, and it's that easy. You hit a button. Become a AAA member today. Back with you next. 93.5, 107.5 The Fan. Oh, John, with a tremendous idea. You ready for one of my great ideas? How about the Four Roses Barrel Pick Trip giveaway here? What they're going up until, I want to say, what is today's date, James? The 7th? Going up until the 10th of January. You have your chance to win a once-in-a-lifetime Four Roses Barrel Pick experience. No purchase necessary. Now, the winner plus 3 friends will travel to Cox's Creek, Kentucky. Going to meet on February the 16th at the Four Roses warehouses. Taste multiple recipes, help select barrels that will later hit store shelves. Entries can be made for this once per day. Ask the clerks at checkout, how you can sign up for the Four Roses Barrel Pick Trip giveaway now through January the 10th with Big Red Liquors. 100-plus locations to do just that in the state of Indiana, one near you. To find it online at bigredliquors.com. Also, too, big game is what you're looking for to celebrate. All Upland 12-packs, $2 off. You can find those great deals there as well. And the High Life and the High Life Light 12-pack bottles, you're going to get savings on that, too. Just in time for the big games you're going to be watching. Big Red Liquors, 100-plus locations, powers the JMV Takeover every Saturday night on B105.7. That and more ways you can save. You can find it online at bigredliquors.com.